Welcome to the Apex News. I'm your host, Zell. And guys, today we're going to jump right into that news with an edge right after this. First up, if you are listening to this on the Podcastosphere or you're watching it on YouTube, wherever you're getting it, if you would like to get to the best copy of the show notes where all that linky goodness is, go over to the EpicSnuggleBunny.com and click on show notes at the top of the page. That will get you to all the linky goodness in its best form. And now let's get into blog and print news. From the Cutting Edge blog, we have K-Bar introduces State and Union Knives Custom Shop. This, guys, has the potential to be super cool. K-Bar for quite some time has made some really good knives, but they've always stayed in what they do. They've had the Bob Dozier designs and a few others, and they've had their kind of classic fixed blades. This custom shop is allowing designers that they choose, of course, to come in and make small production runs at very reasonable prices. And, you know, it's probably kind of an audition thing to see if maybe they want to take some of these further and bring them into full production runs, which, guys, it's kind of like the maker space where you try things, you get things figured out, and if you get something that's good, maybe it's going to go on and be a production piece, and that is super cool. Or at least that's how I'm seeing it. K-Bar may have something else to say about it. And also from the Cutting Edge blog, we have the top 10 Kershaw knives. Normally, I don't ever post up top 10 blog articles because they're clickbait. They are specifically to get you to click the affiliate links and possibly buy one of the knives. Maybe not you guys watching this, but for the people that may not know, they search, what's the best Kershaw knife? Well, okay, this link pops up. Well, I actually linked this one because the Cutting Edge blog has put a little bit of thought into this, and they've actually brought up, I would have maybe brought up a couple of different ones, but you know, it's an opinion, guys. They've done a good job, and it's a worthy look. And yes, of course, there's the affiliate links for Amazon, or I think they link back to themselves over at the Cutting Edge blog. But pretty cool article. Nice to see the Kershaws and actually picking good ones. And then from KnifeNews, we have Call in the Specialists. You'll have to go over there to see what that one's about. It's an article by our very own Nick Shabazz. And we have Real Steel adding premium folders. And man, whenever I saw the title of this article, I was all excited about it. And I clicked on it, and it was, well, you just have to go watch or go look at it. Anyhow. And then we have a PSA for Patty of Potato Peeler fame. Buddy, public carry of a potato peeler lands a Scottish man in hot water. This guy may go to jail for a freaking potato peeler. Patty, be careful, my friend. We really, really don't want you in jail, buddy. So, you know, watch your local knife laws. And that goes for everybody. Watch your local knife laws. Don't flaunt them. Don't be, you know, keep yourself safe. If your local knife laws are ridiculous, get a group of people together. Get a hold of the Knife Rights Organization and do something about it. That's the right way to go about it. And don't get yourself thrown in jail over a potato peeler. Really? Anyhow, as we move on to videos, we've got House of Wisdom with the Wii 803 Rectifier. He says it's setting things right. And I agree with him. That Rectifier, for those of you that wanted the ignition to be even more awesome than it was, the Rectifier is that knife. It's kind of like they took the ignition and they went through S35VN steel in it and made it look cool and made it tip up left or right hand carry and just squashed it into awesomeness. That's exactly what the Rectifier is. It's literally like they rectified all of the little omissions that they had with the ignition. Not that the ignition was a bad knife, and I love that thing, and if you're willing to deal with VG10 steel, or it's a steel that you like, absolutely, but I have to agree with Brent over at House of Wisdom. The Rectifier, in my mind, rectified things. It set them right. And Kevin Cleary, he brings us a Steel Will Mini Gekko. full review and discussion. That is a pretty cool knife. And old yeah, that sounded good. EpicSnuggleBunny. He brings us his review of the baby machine. That's that Reate knife designed by Tashi Bharucha, the one that I said last week that I probably wouldn't put in my pocket. Now, let me explain that, because I got a lot of heat in the email, even over on Instagram, about that comment. It's a knife. I'd use it. I don't even know how much the thing costs, because unfortunately, I love Tashi's designs, but the baby machine just does not trip my trigger. It would be one of those knives that I brought in here, did a review on, and then it'd lay around here for a few weeks, and I'd end up forgetting about it or selling it. It's a beautiful knife. It's just not for me. That's the reason why. It's not because I'd be afraid to put Tashi's knife in my pocket. Hell, I carried the Future around for 2 or 3 weeks, and that was some knife that was selling for ridiculous amounts of money. Anyhow, moving on along, over in the IV with the bird shots this week, we've got the Nadeau Micro, and I hope I pronounced that right, Typhoon Prototypes. It's the first impressions of the pre-release models, and these guys are pretty cool. Blade Centered brings us the Knife Center exclusive Dragonfly in HAP 40. If you guys have not used HAP 40 steel, that is, well, get over on Instagram and talk to Stazza23 about it. He is a huge fan of that steel. I haven't really used it enough to know, but it really seems like it's going to be a really good one, though Spyderco's not going to stick it everywhere because it is a laminated steel, and, well, that costs money. And it's not good for general production because, well, it costs extra money. And from JT's Knife Life, that's our new channel this week, is JT's Knife Life. He brings us the Bestech Starfighter. We've looked at that one here on the channel, but it's always good to get another look at some of those knives, especially something like the Starfighter, because if you remember, guys, that one bit me. I love the knife, but it bit me. And that made me a little hardened against the knife, even though I love the design. And JT says, form and function? Yep. And you can go over and see what he has to say about it. And he also has kind of a think piece called the Spyderco Native M4 Sprint. When purchasing an upgrade is smart. And Slicey Dicey, if you remember right, he was out of the country. We banished him from the USA for a couple weeks. And he went on a work trip. Yeah. Look around to see what really went on. Listen to the last couple of podcasts, the Slicey Dicey podcast, to find out what really went on there. Anyhow, the Steel Wheel Resident Titanium and Carbon Fiber Framelock. Neat little knife, and he has one that I'm sure many of you are really ready to see. The Spyderco Para 3 versus the Rectifier. Very good video. And really brings out some of the strengths and weaknesses of both knives. And then he's got kind of a think piece here. The European Locking Traditionals. Opinel, I cannot. Antonini and Martins. Neat knives. It's just a great price. All of them made similar to the Opinel. And it's, wow. The prices that you pick them up for, sometimes over there, sometimes over here, just make those knives very appealing, especially because of the beauty of the way they're designed. And, you know, in my mind, kind of that beater category, because they don't cost that much and they lock. And if you need knives to throw around the shop, don't throw your knives, guys. Need knives to lay around your shop or your garage, or you just want one in a few different drawers around the house, it's really hard to beat these guys. And then they're beautiful, and anyhow, go check it out. And Simple Little Life brings us Viewer Knives number 28. Some real beauties in there. Stazza23 brings us a Knife Therapy this week with a VDK Pharaoh review. Oh, that's yeah, you just have to watch that one. And he has his top 10 big and beefy heavy hitters. And you know Stazza, he's got some big ones down there. And he has on the other end of the spectrum, he's got the Bestech Pebble, sleek and slicey. And a lot of you have been liking that little knife. I haven't had my hands on it yet. And Cedric and Ada Gear and Outdoors brings us a story time video. First pocket knife. Definitely want to see that one. Dr. Ferunke, he puts on the lab coat this week and gets us into the Something Obscene company J Cape. Says it's electric. That sounds like, you remember that game of Operation where you had to take the little tweezers and pull the various little parts of the guy out without shocking him? Yeah, anyhow. And he also has the Gramoso Norseman versus the Rask. A knife comparison. Nick Shabazz, he brings us a Spyderco Al Clone, and I have no idea how to pronounce that. I hope I'm pretty close. Pocket knife, full Shabazz review, of course, and the Ferrum Forge Crux. That's the one sold through Mass Drop, and I goofed that up. We're starting to call them Mass Drop knives because they are Mass Drop made. They can be designed by whomever. Even if I designed one, it would still be a Mass Drop knife, even though that would kind of irk me. So maybe I should say Ferrum Forge when I talk about, you know what I mean. They've got too many names attached to them, so they're Mass Drop knives. And then we have a Eugene Kwan with another dashboard review. This time it's the Something Obscene company, Nimley 2. And he's got the prototype to show you what may be coming down the line. And Everyday City Carry, this guy has wow editing skills, does a good job of talking about knives, like his videos a lot, but he has a problem with the name Rectifier. Do you guys have a problem with the name Rectifier? Let's hash this out in the comments, because he has the wee knives, he calls it Rec. It's the Rectifier knife review. And it's a great video. You're going to want to go watch it. I think his dog even makes a couple of appearances. Pretty freaking cool. And then from EDC Gear Reviews, we have the North Arm Skaha 2. First impressions. And guys, that covers it up this week for the news. If you want to see the best copy of the show notes, be sure to hit up the EpicSnuggleBunny.com and click show notes. There'll be a whole list of them there. All the show notes from all the shows. So, well, not all the shows. Going back about 3 or 4 shows right now. Anything since the website went up, I didn't try to go backwards and get all of them. That would have been crazy. That's like 3 years worth of stuff. Not happening. Anyhow, that's where the best of the show notes are. If you want to listen to our podcast, whether it's a Slicey Dicey podcast or this podcast, you can listen not live, you can listen to this podcast right there on the EpicSnuggleBunny.com. Right on the right-hand side, click on Slicey Dicey Podcast or the Apex News Podcast. Little square boxes on the right-hand side, and it'll take you straight to it. Player will come up, and you can listen right there. And there's also the links to all of the various places that you may want to get the podcast. And, guys, Blade Show is coming. I've got a lot of work to do, so I'm going to let you go for this week. You guys have a great day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.